What is happening, people? Welcome back to the show. This is the upper tier, of course, but tonight we have a Shankly sessions where we're going to be previewing Wolves versus Liverpool. The Premier League is back, football is back, the Reds are back. That international break is in the bin now. Let's get it out of the way and let's get things going. Fantastic weekend of football coming up as well. Some fantastic fixtures as well. But nothing more important to us as Reds fans than the Wolves. The half 12 kickoff tomorrow, lunchtime kickoff, potentially by 2:30 tomorrow. We could be sitting top of the league even for a short time. Who knows? But let's see what happens. Plenty to go through tonight on this preview. Nothing less and nothing more than to start with this man here, the big man himself, your Castrol save of the month, Alison Becker. That's awesome. Fantastic save. What a save it was against Newcastle, of course. Probably going to be one of the saves of the season, if not the save of the season. But not only that, how did this man not get into the top 10 nominations of the Ballon d'Or? He is probably the best keeper on the planet, near alone the Premier League. Absolutely disgraceful that he wasn't named in that top 10, but sure to make up for it this season, that's for sure. But congrats to him. What a save. What a keeper. What a player for us. Where would we be without that big Brazilian beast between the sticks? So congratulations. We're going to cover, first of all, I think we'll do it a little bit different tonight as well. We're going to cover the presser as well. Press conference that happened today with Klopp. It got a bit feisty. Pierce got a bit of a beatdown today, and it was it's weird when you look at these pressers, and we'll go into it and stuff like that. Look at the stare on that man on the right hand side. Look at that stare. That's not the stare you want sitting in a press conference with Jurgen Klopp. But before we get into the presser course, I would ask you, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video, and of course, share the content. Let's get into some of the OGs here in the comments. Henry is in. What's the crack, Niall, pal? All good, my friend. Good to hear. Still getting shit, but I'm powering through. I got good friend support system. That's it, Henry. Keep on swimming. Swim or sink. That's how it goes. And Eno's back in as always. He was on the blower to me this morning and stuff like that. He jumped on our podcast there on Wednesday night, our Pro Wrestling Weekly that we do on a Wednesday and stuff like that. We were talking all things TKO, the merging of WWE and UFC. And Henry says, hi, Richie. So let's get into this presser. Lots to talk about. Of course, where do they get these journalists, folks? I don't know. Is this just across the board with these Premier League press conferences? Where do they get these journalists? The questions are absolutely diabolical. Diabolical. How do we start this press conference with a conversation about Mo Salah and the Saudi bid and all that kind of stuff when we're a week or two on from it at this stage? You know what I mean? It's shocking. And I think that start of the press conference is kind of what triggered Klopp a little bit, because I think the image on the left is the Mo Salah conversation or the Mo Salah question, and the image on the right was the question pitched by James Pearce. But we'll go down through what came out. The only kind of bad thing that came out really was Trent is out. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks and stuff like that, slight hamstring. Thiago is back running. Yippee. Good to hear that. Nunes should be fine, which is great to hear. Konate trained the last 2 days. Really glad to hear about that as well. Klopp was asked about the team and stuff like that, and he was talking about coming up to the 8-year anniversary. And he says, although it's 8 years on the anniversary, he says it's the first year with this team, which is an interesting comment as well. Sure to ruffle the feathers of previous midfielders as he did recently. Asked about the options that he has and stuff like that. He says he's happy with the option he has. That it's not about the 11, of course, it's about the team evolving and plenty of work to do and all that, as he always answers it. And it's real good. And I think it's really, really important to remember that as well, that although we have this year is slightly different because we kind of have a very fluid 11, if you like, so it keeps teams thinking. And we've lots of options up front. We've plenty of options now in the midfield. And will we see Gravenberch or not? Hard to know. Will Endo start? A number of the boys coming back from America and stuff like that. He'd plenty to say on that and all. He spoke about the Hendo interview, and he said that everything is fine with Jordan Henderson, that if he took things up a certain way and stuff like that, then that's fine. That's with him and that kind of thing. But of course, he's welcome back to have a proper send off and all that kind of stuff. And also, Klopp kind of being a little bit straight on it, but also a little bit diplomatic and stuff like that. And I'm sure the Jordan Henderson interview wouldn't have sat well with him, similar to us as fans. But he was kind of firing a shot, but being really diplomatic about it as well. So, not too bad. But the grenade came at the end. James Pearce unhooking that ring out of the grenade and throwing it in. Hit him with the 12:30 question, talking about how the 12:30s haven't been happy hunting grounds for the Reds. I don't think we've no wins in the last 6. I think we've a little slide here to demonstrate. I think we've played over double the amount of half 12s compared to other teams in the Premier League since 2015. I think the graphic is there. I'll show you now in a minute. So that's an interesting conversation piece. Why is it Liverpool? I suppose. Why are we often? I suppose when you look at it, I suppose with United the last couple of years, they've been playing, reasonably well and stuff like that, but a little bit on the down. So, but they're certainly selecting us for these half 12 kickoffs, and it's kind of strange that we have double the amount, and it does hurt us a lot because we do have quite an international team. I think we've either five, have we either 5 or 6 international captains at this stage? I think we've definitely got 5 anyway. So obviously they're spread far and wide when international breaks come around. I was talking to Darren last night on the Thursday tier talk about it as well, and I was thinking we were kind of saying like these international breaks, you can't be doing an international break 4 games into the season and stuff like that. Like it's just ridiculous. And then we're thinking what another 5 or 6 weeks or something like that. There's an international break again, So you're only finding your rhythm and it's cut off again. And because we're such a global team, we have players traveling to the 4 corners of the world to play and stuff like that and all. And I think this is what got his goal up. I think James Pearce is one of those guys who tends to ask rhetorical questions. And what I mean by that is he asks questions that he knows the answers to, and it frustrates Klopp. And this was one of those ones when he asked him about the 12:30 kickoffs and how we haven't had, much success in them and stuff like that. What do you put that down to? And it was quite an obvious question, but it really triggered Klopp. And Klopp went in hard on him big time. Let me know your thoughts on it if you watched the presser. Did he go in too hard? We did do a short on it today as well, asking the question: Was it too much? Was it overboard? I'm not too sure. I can see if you're a manager sitting in that seat, and you start out the press conference. You've moved on from the transfer window. You've moved on from the Saudi transfer window. And the first question is Mo Salah on the transfer. Like, that's not really where he was expecting to be. So he was kind of a little bit triggered at the start. And then he got triggered towards the end with this one, No one more than Jurgen Klopp knows that 12:30 kickoffs haven't been a happy hunting ground for us. And also travelling to Molineux was a tough trip for us as well. Hasn't been a happy hunting ground in the past either. So there's a lot of pressure on us here at the moment. And obviously, the international break came at the worst time because we were really, really flying football-wise. We were playing great football. Absolutely battered Aston Villa. Could have been a whole lot more. And I'm sure Jurgen would have wanted that to keep on going. Didn't want the international break. Not just because of fear of travel, but also the threat of injuries and all that kind of stuff that goes with it. So I'm sure on this international break, there's times where there's a lack of sleep there, wondering how players get on and communication and stuff like that and everything and all, And he did make the point that, I think he mentioned either 1 or 2 of the players, was it Darwin, I think, and one other one, I'm not too sure, or was it Lucho? He turned around and he said, I haven't even seen them yet 24 hours before the game. And I think that really needs to be looked at. I think the FA and the Premier League or whatever is, or the fixtures, whoever does them, they really need to look at this and have a good think about this and all and stuff like that, because you can't really be expecting teams to go out and play football, 24 hours after you meet up with your players who have been on long haul flights and stuff like that. Now I know people are going to around and go, these boys are flying Ryanair and like that. They're in proper business class and all that kind of stuff. But you still feel that mileage. You're still going to feel that mileage when you're putting it on your body and stuff like that. And especially with the matches this week for the South American games being so late in the week. They weren't early in the week. So what it meant is a lot of guys were traveling back kind of on the Thursday and stuff like that. So they were only arriving back last night and yesterday afternoon and stuff like that, And then you got the time difference stuff and all that kind of thing to deal with. And then you've got to try and get back into the rhythm of training and stuff like that. So a lot of headaches for the gaffer to deal with and stuff like that, But certainly he was triggered big time today by James Pearce. And I think what the journalists need to do going into these press conferences, they really need to think about what they're asking, because there was really good questions to be asked there. They could have asked Jurgen, how did he feel that the players on international duty, how did they perform, how did they get on? We know Gakpo was in there, Van Dijk was in there, all those kind of things. All the other players playing in South America and stuff like that. How did they get on? Ask good questions where, from his point of view as a coach, he can elaborate and give you good answers and give you an insight into some of the stuff. Ask him, instead of asking about the 12:30 kickoff, ask him from a coaching point of view. How does he deal with multiple players coming back at different times and stuff like that? Like, there's a way of asking these questions without sounding like a dick. You know what I mean? And that, to me, when I was watching that press conference live this morning, it sounded like a real dickish question. It was nearly like he was having a go off the gaffer, because the gaffer in recent times, hadn't dropped much success on the last 6 12:30 kickoffs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Now, we would say when we go into it, we'll talk about the actual game itself. Let's take some comments. Where are we? Henry, Klopp's anniversary coincided with my anniversary, the 31 years I have lived in my property. That's pretty cool. I can't stand 12:30 kickoffs. I don't mind them at all. I like the 12:30 kickoffs. Some good omens. We're going to bring good energy tonight, and we're going to bring good omens in relation to this 12:30 kickoff. This is where we're going to change it up. Tomorrow we're going to get the 3 points. That's what we want. Carvo's in. Big up Carvo. Big up folks. Hi Carvo. Big up Henry. Brighton win at Old Trafford, and West Ham to get something at home, and Liverpool to beat Wolves, and Spursy to do a Spursy. Interesting. Spurs, I tell you, playing good ball under Ange, I have to say. Brighton's going to be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to seeing the teams that come out and stuff like that. West Ham, that should be an interesting one. A lot of people pinning that they might get something out of that game, either a draw or a win, so that'll be interesting. But hopefully we can beat Wolves. That's the main thing. Ian's in. Stress will take over, leads into depression. Players traveling all corners of the world, not good for their health. This includes our managers and coaches. Yeah, interesting. All right, but that's it. That's your presser reaction. So this is a slide that we've seen today. Liverpool, most 12:30 kickoffs after international break since 2015, I think it is. Liverpool have 12, Tottenham 6, Chelsea 6, United 5, City 4, Arsenal 3, Everton 3, and Watford 3. So we've had like double the kickoffs. So I don't know what you read into that. Is it? I'm not one for conspiracy theories and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of people today comment on this with conspiracy theories about, it's just, the usual kind of stuff and all that kind of stuff. I don't mind the 12:30 kickoffs. And I liked what the gaffer said today, that, he was saying the time shouldn't really matter. You know what I mean? It's not that important. Okay, we're kicking off at lunchtime. His concern is the amount of time in terms of the boys coming back from South America and stuff like that. Not actually that the match was a 12:30 kickoff. I think if he had the ample amount of time with the players and they came back at a certain time, I don't think he'd have a problem with the 12:30 kickoff at all. I just think the way it was framed today to trigger him. That's what I thought anyway. But let me know your thoughts. Am I reading into it wrong, or what did we think? The sport has changed big time. It has indeed, absolutely. Everything evolves. Right, let's get into this preview. Wolves, will they be howling or will they be whimpering? This is a very interesting one. Gary O'Neill in there, struggling so far this season. They have been playing okay. They just haven't been able to convert their good play into goals. They've been quite unlucky. We've seen them in the match. What was it? The match with United, where they played really, really well and got nothing out of the game. And they've had a couple of situations like that, So this is not a bad Wolves team, but they are kind of struggling to, dare I say, find themselves this season. And I think Darren was talking about the other night on the preview as well. He was saying they just maybe need a little bit of luck, maybe a goal to win off someone or something like that to maybe kick them on a little bit, potentially, you know what I mean? But certainly Gary O'Neill going there, there's been a lot of upheaval in there. It was Gary going in, they've lost a lot of real quality players and stuff like that. I mean, if you look at that Wolves team, and it's hard to do comparisons with previous matches and stuff like that and all, because previously they were I believe anyway, they were a much better team when you had Ruben Neves in there, João Matinho, Raul Jimenez, Adama Traore, Connor Cody, just to name a few. There's 5 I can rattle off already and stuff like that. And I think Podence is gone as well, if I'm not mistaken. They've lost a lot of really, really good players. Now they still have some decent players there. There's no doubt about it, but I don't think it's the same Wolves that we've been used to. But obviously traveling to their ground in Molyneux and all is kind of a boisterous little fortress and not a great place that you necessarily want to go right after an international break. But we'll get into it. Obviously with the boys we mentioned coming back late from America, from South America and stuff like that, that causes its own kind of headaches and stuff like that. But the news is that they've travelled with the squad. Now, whether they start or not, we don't know. Of course, let us know your starting lineup in the comments, folks, and also let us know your predictions, what you're thinking, who you think is going to start. There, Henry's in straight away, has it there. He knows these shows at this stage. Let us know your predictions as well if you have a score prediction. But it's a difficult one as well because we want to try and continue the really, really good form that we've had up till this point in the season. The international break, of course, disrupts that. And then you come back and try and get that flow again. And he's had a kind of a haphazard kind of preparation week, obviously with players coming back late. Trent is obviously ruled out, which was the big thing in the press conference today, him being ruled out. So then that kind of shuffles the package. Joey going to go into the right position, Konate on the left of centre, Matip in the middle with him, and then Robbo on the left, Allison, of course, in goals. So it'll definitely be an interesting one. No Virgil van Dijk either with that ban. And I was reading about that ban today as well. I don't know if you've seen the thing from the FA. They were saying that if Virgil's record hadn't been as good, he would have got another game as well and another 50 grand. So now we're staring down the barrel. I did a tweet on it today. So if you get sent off by a referee, if you go back and give that referee guff like what Van Dijk did, you're staring down the barrel in total of a 3-match ban and 150 grand fine. And I just put out a tweet copying the PGMOL today saying, I hope we're going to keep the same energy on this now right through the season. That this is not going to be a Virgil van Dijk thing. So let's see what happens, how that progresses. I'll be certainly watching for people getting red cards this season, how they react with the referee and what comes out of that. Henry's in, so we'll go with Allison, Konate, Matip, Gomez and Robbo. Dom, Alexis and Ryan Gravenberch with Diaz, Gakpo and Salah. Not too bad. I'll give you my predicted lineup now in a minute, Henry, see what you think. Slightly different to yours, but not overly different. I think we'll probably see Gravenberch tomorrow, but I don't think we'll see him starting. I think he'll come on from the bench, depending on how the game is going. Likewise, I don't think Diaz will start after the travel. I think we could see him sprung from the bench. Same with Alexis. I'm not sure if he starts now. I know Alexis McAllister has travelled with the squad, so his intention must be to use him. Now, whether he uses from the start or he goes with Endo at the start, let's see what happens there. But we'll go through it and see what it's like. Yeah, big shout out to everyone on the live chat. Yeah, absolutely. Henry's in. We have to start from the get-go. No sloppiness. But if we can get a quick forward goal, that would settle our nerves, I think. Absolutely. The only thing I would say about tomorrow as well is that we've also shown this season as well that even if we give up a goal, we have the mentality to go back out there and sort it. Something we were missing greatly last season. So, but I don't expect. I think looking at that kind of makeshift defense somewhat and stuff like that, I think if we can use the midfield to suffocate the press, when they were doing that inter kind of press where midfielders were going to press as well. I think if we can do a lot of that and cut off the supply and stuff like that and kind of suffocate Wolves in their own half and certainly in their own box, I think that would help a lot as well. Something that we did brilliant against Aston Villa. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again. It was great to see even midfielders like Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones and all going for the press as well, supporting the front players and stuff like that was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, absolutely spot on, Henry. Early goal, settle down the nerves. So I'm going to be a positive 2-0 win. I like the sound of that. I'll give you my prediction shortly. If you look at Wolves at the moment, I don't think they've any major injury issues. I didn't see Gary's press conference today, but it doesn't look like there's only one there at the moment. Joe Hodge, who sustained a thigh injury back in August, seems to be the only doubt. He seems to have everything else available. I'm not sure what the latest update is on players who have returned from international duty and stuff like that. And Gary had a couple of them as well, returning late as well. So similar to ourselves, just not at the same level. So it should be interesting. Konate, as we were told, he's been training for 2 days, so he seems to be available to go. Darwin had some muscle issues, obviously was hooked that time from the match and stuff like that, but it looks like he's okay, according to Klopp. Trent, we know, is out with that hamstring issue. So what that means is that's your kind of makeup of your teams and stuff like that. If you look at the Wolves' form at the moment, 3 losses and a win in their first 4 games. So obviously in serious trouble. But I don't think the results tell the tale. If you look at those results, that would tell you that, like, it doesn't really look at that first loss against United. They literally played United off the park. How they didn't get out of that, I do not know. Absolutely scary. If you look at Liverpool at the moment, we got the draw against Chelsea and then 3 straight wins. And this is a great start for us. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going. To come out of that to go into that international break, as I said already, with 10 points out of 12, after being to the bridge, after being to St James's, after playing Aston Villa and Bournemouth, that's a great return as far as I'm concerned. I think that's really, really good and a huge improvement on last year. Henry's in, and I see the Barella issue not going away again. Yeah, absolutely. And then we have Lask on Thursday. Yeah, Lask on Thursday. I'm not too sure what I'm planning, Henry, in terms of the Europa League. I'm not really. Obviously, I'll watch the games and stuff like that. But Thursday is the night that we podcast on here and stuff like that, and I'm not overly enthusiastic about the Europa League at this stage. So we'll see what happens there. So what that means is, if you're looking at the Wolves starting lineup, you got Sa and goals, Semedo, Dawson, Kilman, Bueno, Sarabia, Lemina, Gomez, Neto, Velasic, and Silva is their possible lineup. And if you look at us at the moment, I'm going to give you our lineup now. Let me know what your thoughts on how we could change around. Alisson at the back, of course, and goals, which you would expect. Joe Gomez out on the right, Matip beside him, Konate going in there as well, and Robbo on the left. Robbo be dying to get involved in this game and lead the team out. He's obviously going to be captain tomorrow, I would imagine, with Van Dijk and Trent bowed out. I'd imagine he'll get the captain's armband. He'll have the lads royally G'd up for this one and stuff like that. The only thing that Robbo has to be careful is that he doesn't let his emotion overcome what he's trying to do on the pitch. Pick up an early booking or do something silly, trying to lay down a mark and stuff like that. So he needs to get the guys fired up for the game, but control his own emotions as well. We've seen in the past, sometimes when he gets the armband, he can sometimes get very emotional out there on the pitch. So that needs to be careful. Middle of the field, again, we could talk. Dom obviously starts. He's been absolutely electric. I was saying that I was on Dave was doing a video today, and I was in the chat on it saying he's been absolutely exceptional so far this season, and I think he is key. He'll absolutely kill off anything that Wolves have to offer, hopefully. Endo in the middle, I wasn't sure when I was putting this together. I wasn't sure on the status of McAllister, or maybe McAllister might go in there. He might go with the same 3. I wouldn't be too upset if he put Endo in there. Absolutely bossed the game for Japan against Germany, beating Germany 4-1 and costing Hansi Flick his job. And Curtis, continue with Curtis there, I think, on the left for the moment. Thiago still only back in running mode, but not in full training mode. So I think the midfield, and then I suppose at some stage we may see Gravenberch introduced. McAllister certainly will probably go in there at some stage. But probably go with Szoboszlai, Endo, and Curtis Jones. And then up front, a little bit of a dilemma here. Obviously, Salah on the right, Gakpo through the middle, and Jota on the left. Now, he may choose to bring Darwin on. I think he'll bring Darwin on at some stage in the game, depending on what he thinks or what's needed and stuff like that. Lucho, I'm not too sure. Luis Diaz, is he going to bring him on, or how the travel has affected him and stuff like that? But you look at Jota's form at the moment, he was on fire for Portugal as well, so he looks proper fired up. It is his old haunting ground as well, remember, so he'll be happy to go back there to do a number, and I'm sure he'll be chomping at the bit to get a starting position. So I wouldn't be surprised if our starting lineup up front, Salah, Gakpo, and Jota. But again, you could see Darwin introduced, see the damage that he did against teams. You could see Lucho introduced there as well, and we may even see a cameo from Gravenberch. Let's see what happens there. I think that's kind of most of the options that are there. Depending on how the game goes, you might get Harvey coming in there as well. But let's see what happens. A lot of these guys will be chomping at the bit to get back to the Premier League after showing good form previously. Let's see. And I even mentioned to Dave actually on his video as well. I was thinking, would they potentially go with a 3 at the back? could they potentially go 3 at the back and pack the midfield to really pen Wolves in and suffocate them? Which could happen as well. Joey moving in there on one side, Robbo on the other, or maybe switch it across into the 3, but Robbo going into the midfield, and then you might be able to find a place for McAllister as well. Let's see what happens. But they've plenty of options there. The gaffer was asked about his options in the press conference today. He said he's happy with his options. He would have liked to see his players a bit earlier, but sure, that's the story of every gaffer, isn't it, really? Prediction I'm going to go for a 3-1. Henry says I will do a live watch along on Thursday. Nice. Good stuff, Henry. Like that. And Eno's going for a 2-0 Liverpool full-time win. Take that all day long. That would be great. I'm going for 3-1. Had a quick look at the betting, of course, brought to you by Paddy Powers. Wolves are 11-2. The draw is 15-4, and Liverpool are 2-5 on hot favourites to pick up the win here. I found a nice little 7-1 bet as well. Of course, always gamble responsibly. Liverpool to win each half and Liverpool to have most corners in each half is 7-1. Not a bad kind of little double fun bet to have there for your lunchtime kickoff. Always a little bit of fun. That's it, folks. I will be back tomorrow with a match reaction and player ratings. And also looking forward to the afternoon's fixtures, which are going to be absolutely cool as well. Should be a lot of fun. So, as always, if you can, subscribe to the channel, the upper tier. The Shankly Sessions is where all us Reds hang out. And, of course, hit a like on the video. Share the content. Hit that bell notification. And we'll be back with you real soon. You'll never walk alone. See you all, folks. Take care. Safe weekend.